Hi, I'm Jeremy, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. Simeon is not one of the Bible characters I tend to hear a lot about. It's probably because the Bible doesn't say much about him. We're introduced to him very briefly in Luke's Gospel account, where we learn, starting in Luke 2:25, "And behold, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon. And this man was just and devout, waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Spirit was upon him. And it had been revealed to him by the Holy Spirit that he would not see death before he had seen the Lord's Christ. So he came by the Spirit into the temple." Now, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of questions about Simeon. How long had he been waiting to see Jesus Christ? How much did he know about who Jesus Christ would be and what he had come to do? A lot of Jews were expecting the Messiah to be a powerful leader who would overthrow the Roman Empire and reestablish Israel as a world power. Was that what Simeon was expecting? Or did he know that the Messiah was first coming to suffer and die for the sins of the world? And did Simeon even live to see any of that happen? All Simeon knows, or at least all we know that Simeon knows, is that he isn't going to die before seeing the Lord's Christ, the prophesied Messiah who had a pivotal role to play in God's plan for his people. Is Simeon old at this point? It kind of sounds like it. And when he meets Jesus, Jesus is still a baby. And Simeon is moved by God's Spirit to pick up Jesus and say these words, starting in Luke 2:29. "Lord, now you are letting your servant depart in peace, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared before the face of all peoples, a light to bring revelation to the Gentiles and the glory of your people Israel." And then he tells Mary, Christ's mother, "Behold, this child is destined for the fall and rising of many in Israel, and for a sign which will be spoken against. Yes, a sword will pierce through your own soul also, that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed." And that's the last we hear from Simeon. He talks about how God is letting him depart in peace. It was going to be 30 years before Christ's ministry officially began, and another 3.5 before his crucifixion. There's a good chance he knew he was going to be dead before any of that happened. Imagine knowing, or at least being pretty confident, that your life was going to overlap with one of the most key figures in all of history, but only barely. Imagine knowing that you were going to live right up to the very cusp of everything changing in dramatic and powerful ways, but also knowing you weren't going to be around to see it happen. I think I would be frustrated. I think I would wonder, God, why don't I get to be more involved in this? Why don't I get to watch it unfold? But what I see in Simeon's words are joy, not bitterness. He's excited that the timeline of his life and Christ's life overlap, however briefly. He's privileged to hold this tiny little baby who is going to change the world in ways no one on earth fully understands. He announces Jesus as the salvation sent by God, a source of light for the Gentiles and of glory for Israel. He sees the hand of God at work and gets excited about a future that God has given him only glimpses of. I really like that. I think it's easy to want to have one of the more important roles in God's plan. When I look at Simeon, I see someone who is grateful just to be part of it in any capacity. That's how I want to be. I don't need to be center stage. I don't need to be noteworthy or in charge of something important. I get to be part of this incredible plan God has been working out for thousands of years. I get to play a role in it, and it doesn't matter how significant or insignificant that role is. And like Simeon, when my role is done, I can depart in peace, knowing that even if I don't get to watch the rest of the story unfold in this life, God has a place for me in the next. What a privilege it is to just be here.
Verse by Verse is a companion podcast to the Daily Bible Verse blog, which you can find on the Life, Hope, and Truth Learning Center. Check out the show notes for more.